The massive alien warship Dawnbreaker hung motionless against the backdrop of stars, its dark hull reflecting the soft blue glow of Earth below. Inside the command center, Commander Kex stood with his hands clasped behind his back, his scaled skin shimmering under the soft purple lighting of the bridge. "What a primitive world," he muttered, his 4 eyes narrowing as he studied the holographic display of Earth's continents. "They still rely on combustion engines and fossil fuels. Pathetic." Officer Reed, his second in command, approached with a data pad. "Sir, our scans show they have nuclear capabilities and have achieved basic spaceflight. Perhaps we shouldn't underestimate them." Kex waved his hand dismissively. "They fight among themselves over strips of land and imaginary borders. They waste resources on entertainment and leisure. They keep wild animals as companions." He spat the last word as if it tasted bitter. "They are weak." The bridge crew worked quietly at their stations, monitoring Earth's communications and defense systems. Their ship had remained undetected thanks to their advanced cloaking technology, allowing them to observe humanity for the past 3 days. "Sir," called out one of the sensor operators, "I'm detecting something interesting in their global information network. They have entire industries dedicated to caring for animals. They call them pets." Kex walked over to the operator's station, his heavy boots clicking against the metallic floor. The screen showed images of humans with various creatures: dogs, cats, birds, and more exotic species. In each image, the humans were smiling, touching, or playing with these beasts. "How do they maintain control over these creatures?" Kex asked, genuinely puzzled. The operator scrolled through more data. "According to this, sir, they don't control them through force. They form emotional bonds. They consider these animals part of their families." Laughter erupted from Kex's throat, a harsh sound that made several crew members flinch. "Emotional bonds. With beasts? This is even better than we thought." He turned to face the bridge crew. "Our mission was to assess their military capabilities, but I think we found something far more valuable: their weakness." He walked back to the main viewing screen, his tall frame casting a long shadow. "Prepare a retrieval team. I want specimens, both human and beast. We'll study this relationship they have. Perhaps we can use it against them when the time comes for conquest." Officer Reed stepped forward again. "Sir, the Council ordered us only to observe. Capturing specimens would be a direct violation." "The Council isn't here," Kex interrupted sharply. "They don't see what I see. These humans are soft. They waste resources caring for lesser beings. They're vulnerable, and I will prove it." He pressed a button on his command console, bringing up a map of Earth's less populated regions. "There," he said, pointing to a mountainous area. "Northern Territory. Low population density. Perfect for a quiet retrieval operation." "What exactly are you planning, Commander?" Reed asked, concern evident in his voice. Kex smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. "We'll capture one of their warriors and one of their beasts. Then we'll show everyone how pathetic this bond truly is. When the beast turns on its master in our combat arena, it will prove what we've always known: trust and emotional attachment are weaknesses." He turned to his communications officer. "Prepare the retrieval team. Full stealth protocols. I want this done quietly." His eyes gleamed with anticipation. "And make sure they bring tranquilizer weapons. We wouldn't want to damage our specimens." As the bridge crew hurried to carry out his orders, Kex returned to watching Earth rotate slowly below them. In his mind, he was already planning how to use this information. His species had conquered dozens of worlds, but they had never encountered a species that willingly shared their living spaces with wild creatures. "Sir," Reed said quietly, "what if you're wrong about them?" Kex didn't turn around. "I'm never wrong, Reed. These humans are weak, and their relationship with beasts proves it. Soon, everyone will see that I'm right." He paused, watching as a storm system swirled across Earth's atmosphere. "Prepare my personal observation room. I want to witness every moment of what's about to unfold." As the retrieval team prepared for their mission, none of them could have predicted how this simple capture operation would challenge everything they thought they knew about strength, loyalty, and the true nature of the bond between humans and their animal companions. Snow crunched under Jack Thompson's boots as he made his way through the Alaskan wilderness. The early morning sun cast long shadows across the pristine white landscape. Behind him, Ghost padded silently, the massive timber wolf's gray coat blending perfectly with the winter scenery. Jack paused to check his GPS coordinates and adjust the wildlife tracking equipment in his backpack. 6 months into his research on wolf pack behavior, and every day still brought new discoveries. Ghost had been an unexpected addition to his work, a lone wolf who'd started following him 3 months ago, curious about the human who watched his former pack from afar. "What do you think, buddy?" Jack spoke softly, watching his breath form clouds in the cold air. "Should we check the valley for signs of the northern pack?" Ghost's ears perked up, and he turned his head sharply toward a cluster of trees. Jack had learned to trust the wolf's instincts. Something was out there. "What is it, boy?" Jack whispered, slowly reaching for his camera. If it was the pack they'd been tracking, this could be valuable footage for his research. The air shimmed oddly, like heat waves rising from summer pavement, except this was winter in Alaska. Jack blinked, wondering if his eyes were playing tricks on him. Ghost growled, a low rumble that Jack had never heard from him before. Suddenly, figures emerged from thin air. They were tall, at least 7 feet, with scaled skin and 4 eyes. Their bodies were covered in what looked like advanced armor, glowing with strange symbols. Jack's mind struggled to process what he was seeing. "Holy," he breathed, automatically reaching for his satellite phone. Ghost moved closer to him, hackles raised, teeth bared. One of the aliens, because what else could they be, raised a strange-looking device. "Specimen located," it said in perfect English, though its mouth moved oddly around the words. "Male human, approximately 30 Earth years, accompanied by large canine, species Canis lupus." Jack started backing away slowly. "Look, I don't want any trouble. I'm just a researcher studying wolves. Nothing interesting here." The aliens spread out, forming a circle around Jack and Ghost. Their movements were precise, military. "Commander Kex wants both specimens," another alien announced. "Prepare for capture." Ghost snarled, showing impressive fangs. The wolf's body was tense, ready to fight. Jack knew he should probably be terrified, but his main concern was for Ghost's safety. "Easy, Ghost," he said calmly, despite his racing heart. "We don't want to fight them." The aliens paused, their 4 eyes blinking in what seemed like surprise. "The human communicates with the beast," one observed. "Fascinating." "Look," Jack tried again. "Whatever you want to learn, I'm happy to tell you. We don't need violence here." Instead of responding, the lead alien raised its weapon. A soft whine filled the air, and Jack felt his muscles growing heavy. Ghost lunged at the nearest alien, but another shot rang out. The wolf stumbled, fighting against whatever drug they'd used. "Ghost," Jack tried to reach his friend, but his legs wouldn't cooperate. The world started spinning. Don't hurt him." The last thing Jack saw before consciousness faded was Ghost collapsing nearby, and the aliens approaching with what looked like floating stretchers. Up in orbit, Commander Kex watched the retrieval operation with satisfaction. The humans' weakness for animals had made capture almost too easy. The specimen they'd acquired wasn't even a warrior, just a simple researcher, but that would make the demonstration even more effective. "Sir," Officer Reed reported, "both specimens are secured and being transported to the ship. The human appears to be a scientist studying wolf behavior. The beast is not actually a pet, but a wild wolf that chose to accompany him." Kex's eyes widened with interest. "Even better. They form bonds with truly wild creatures. Their weakness runs deeper than we thought." He turned to his medical officer. "Prepare the specimens for study. I want to understand exactly how this human convinced a predator to follow him willingly. As the retrieval team returned to the Dawnbreaker with their unconscious captives, they couldn't shake a nagging feeling. The way the human had tried to protect the wolf, and the way the wolf had instantly moved to defend the human, it didn't feel like weakness. But none of them dared voice such thoughts to Commander Kex. Jack woke up slowly, his head pounding. The first thing he noticed was the strange purple light coming from somewhere above. The second was that he was in some kind of transparent cell. The walls hummed with energy, and beyond him, he could see alien equipment and monitors displaying symbols he didn't understand. "Ghost," he called out, his voice hoarse. Relief flooded through him when he heard a familiar whine from the cell next to his. Through the transparent wall, he could see Ghost pacing, apparently unhurt but clearly agitated. "Remarkable," a voice said. "Even after being separated, they attempt to communicate." Commander Kex stepped into view, his tall frame imposing as he studied both cells. Several other aliens in what appeared to be medical uniforms worked at nearby stations, taking notes and adjusting equipment. "I am Commander Kex of the Dawnbreaker," he announced. "You and your weapon have been selected for study." Jack blinked in confusion. "Weapon? What weapon?" Kex gestured toward Ghost. "Your beast weapon. The creature you've trained for combat." Despite the serious situation, Jack couldn't help but laugh. "Ghost isn't a weapon. He's a wild wolf who chooses to stay with me while I study his former pack's behavior. I've never trained him to do anything." The alien commander's 4 eyes narrowed. "You expect me to believe a predator simply chose to follow you, without force, without control devices?" "That's exactly what happened," Jack said, watching as Ghost moved closer to the wall separating their cells. "I was tracking his pack for my research. He got curious about me, started following me. Eventually, he just stayed." The medical staff exchanged glances. One of them approached Kex with a datapad. "Sir, our scans confirm the human statement. We detect no control implants, no chemical modifications, no signs of physical coercion on the wolf." Kex snatched the pad, his scaled fingers moving rapidly across its surface. "Impossible. Run the tests again." Jack stood up slowly, moving closer to the energy field. "Look, I can prove it to you. Let me show you how Ghost and I interact. There's no weapon here, just trust and mutual respect." "Trust." Kex spat the word. "Respect. For a beast?" He turned to his medical staff. "Prepare them both for the combat trials. We'll see how much trust exists when the beast is hungry and the human is armed." "That's not going to work," Jack said calmly, even as his heart raced. "Ghost won't attack me, not even if you starve him. That's not how our relationship works." One of the younger aliens, wearing what appeared to be a researcher's uniform, stepped forward hesitantly. "Commander, perhaps we should observe their natural interactions first. The data could be valuable." Kex glared at the young researcher, who quickly stepped back. "Very well. We'll document their behavior for 24 Earth hours. Then we proceed with the combat trials." As the commander stormed out, the young researcher lingered behind. Once Kex was gone, he approached Jack's cell. "I am medical researcher Trill. I have never seen anything like this. How do you maintain the bond?" Jack looked at Ghost, who had settled down and was watching him calmly through the barrier. "I don't maintain it. That's the point your commander doesn't understand. Ghost is free to leave whenever he wants. He stays because we trust each other, because we're friends." "Friends." Trill tested the word carefully. "With a predator species. Humans have been forming bonds with animals for thousands of years," Jack explained. "Dogs, cats, horses, even wolves, like Ghost. We don't see them as weapons or tools. They're companions, partners." Trill made notes rapidly on his pad, his 4 eyes blinking in excitement. "But surely there must be some method of control." Jack shook his head. "The only control is mutual respect. Watch." He sat down close to the barrier between his and Ghost's cells. The wolf immediately moved closer, lying down parallel to him. Despite the barrier between them, their positioning showed clear trust and companionship. Fascinating, Trill whispered. This goes against everything we've been taught about dominance and control. As the young researcher hurried away with his observations, Jack reached out, his hand stopping just short of the energy barrier. On the other side, Ghost placed his paw in the same spot. They might be captives, but their bond remained unbroken, something their captors clearly couldn't understand. The main communication chamber of the Dawnbreaker hummed with energy as Commander Kex prepared to broadcast his message to Earth. Massive screens displayed various human military installations, government buildings, and news networks that would receive his transmission. "Sir," Officer Reed stepped forward. "Are you certain this is wise?" The Council specifically ordered. "The Council will thank me when I expose humanity's weakness," Kex interrupted, adjusting his ceremonial armor. "Begin the broadcast." Across Earth, regular programming was suddenly interrupted. On millions of screens, Commander Kex's imposing figure appeared, his scaled skin gleaming under the ship's lights. "People of Earth," his voice boomed in perfectly translated English, "I am Commander Kex of the Dawnbreaker. We have been observing your primitive world, and we have found you wanting." He gestured to a screen behind him, where footage of Jack and Ghost in their cells appeared. "We have captured one of your warriors and his beast weapon. Your pathetic attempt to tame wild creatures for combat amuses us. In 3 Earth days, we will hold a demonstration of true military might." In their cells, Jack and Ghost watched the broadcast on a floating screen. "Oh no," Jack muttered. "They really don't get it, do they?" Medical researcher Trill, who had been monitoring them, shifted uncomfortably. "The commander believes this challenge will prove his theories about dominance and control." On screen, Kex continued, "We challenge your best warriors to face our elite guards in combat. Your captured warrior and his beast will also participate, demonstrating the futility of your primitive bonding practices." World leaders scrambled to respond. Military commands went into high alert, but it was a response from a small research station in Alaska that caught everyone's attention. "That's not a warrior," a voice called out over the broadcast. "That's Jack Thompson. He's a wildlife researcher studying wolf behavior. And that's not a weapon. It's a wild wolf that chose to be his friend." Kex's face twisted in anger. "You lie. No predator chooses companionship over dominance. We will prove this in combat." The young alien researcher, Trill, had been quietly collecting data that contradicted his commander's beliefs. During his observations, he'd witnessed countless small moments between Jack and Ghost that defied explanation under their species' understanding of animal behavior. He watched now as Jack sat calmly in his cell, Ghost mirroring his posture in the adjacent chamber. Despite their captivity, despite the stress, their bond remained unbroken. The wolf showed no signs of aggression toward Jack, only concern and protectiveness. "Sir," Trill finally spoke up during a break in the transmission, "our data suggests the humans are telling the truth. The relationship between the specimen and the wolf appears to be based on mutual." "Silence," Kex roared. "Your data is flawed. Your understanding is limited. We will proceed with the combat trials as planned." In their cells, Jack could feel the tension building among their captors. Several of the younger crew members had been watching him and Ghost with increasing fascination, clearly troubled by how their observations contradicted their commander's beliefs. "They're going to make us fight, aren't they?" Jack spoke softly to Ghost, who whined in response. "But we'll show them something different, won't we, boy? We'll show them what partnership really means." Ghost's tail wagged slightly, a gesture that made several observing aliens gasp in surprise. They'd never seen what they considered a battle beast show such clear signs of affection. Commander Kex ended his broadcast with a final ultimatum. 3 days, humans. 3 days to send your champions. Then we will show the galaxy the true meaning of strength. As the transmission ended, Officer Reed approached his commander carefully. "Sir, what if we're wrong about them? What if their relationship with animals isn't a weakness but a different kind of strength?" "Impossible." Kex dismissed him with a wave. "Prepare the combat arena and reduce the specimen's food rations. Let's see how long their friendship lasts when hunger sets in." But as the crew carried out their orders, doubt had begun to spread through the ship. Many had seen the footage of human-animal relationships from Earth, and what they observed in their captives matched those peaceful interactions, not the weapon-master relationship their commander insisted upon. The stage was set for a demonstration, but perhaps not the one Commander Kex had in mind. 2 days had passed since Commander Kex's broadcast, and the atmosphere aboard the Dawnbreaker had changed dramatically. Despite reduced rations and attempts to provoke aggression, Jack and Ghost's behavior continued to puzzle their captors. Medical researcher Trill stood before his instruments, recording yet another unexpected observation. Log entry 47. The wolf continues to share its food ration with the human, pushing portions through the small feeding gap between their cells. This directly contradicts our understanding of predator behavior. Behind him, a small group of younger crew members had gathered to watch. They'd been coming in increasing numbers, fascinated by what they were witnessing. "Look," one whispered, pointing to the cells. Jack had started his morning routine of simple exercises, and Ghost was mirroring his movements on the other side of the barrier. When Jack stretched, Ghost stretched. When Jack paced, Ghost paced alongside him. Commander Kex burst into the observation room, his scales darkened with anger. Why are so many crew members wasting time here instead of preparing for combat trials? "Sir," Trill straightened up, gathering his courage. "We've made some remarkable discoveries. The bond between the human and wolf appears to be enhancing both creatures. The wolf shows increased intelligence and emotional capacity, while the human demonstrates improved sensory awareness and—" "Nonsense," Kex interrupted. "You're seeing what you want to see. Watch this." He stormed over to the control panel and activated the sound system. A high-pitched noise filled Ghost's cell, a sound designed to agitate predator species. Ghost's ears flattened, and he began to pace uncomfortably. But instead of growing aggressive, he looked to Jack for reassurance. "It's okay, boy," Jack called out, his voice steady despite his obvious concern. "Focus on me. Just like when we hear the helicopters during research flights, remember." To everyone's amazement, Ghost calmed down, settling into a sitting position despite the continuing noise. "Impossible," Kex muttered, increasing the volume. Still, Ghost remained calm, drawing strength from Jack's presence. "Sir," another young crew member spoke up, "I've been analyzing their communication patterns. The human doesn't control the wolf through commands. They talk to each other. Different tones, body language, even eye contact. It's a complex system of mutual understanding." Kex spun around, but before he could respond, Officer Reed entered with an urgent report. "Sir, we're receiving thousands of transmissions from Earth. They're not military challenges. They're sending us research data, studies on human-animal bonding, historical records of partnerships between species, scientific papers on cooperative evolution." "Delete them," Kex ordered. "It's propaganda." "Commander," Trill said firmly, "we have to consider the possibility that we've misunderstood. Watch this." He played back footage from the night before. On the screen, Jack was sleeping near the barrier between cells. Ghost lay pressed against the other side, as close as he could get. When Jack showed signs of distress during a dream, Ghost began humming softly, a behavior wolves use to comfort pack members. "The wolf considers him family," Trill explained, "and the human returns that loyalty. It's not dominance or control. It's something we've never seen before." More crew members were gathering now, watching the footage with growing interest. Some had brought data pads showing Earth's transmissions, images and videos of humans working alongside animals in rescue operations, therapy programs, and scientific research. "Sir," Reed suggested carefully, "Perhaps we should reconsider the combat trials. This could be an opportunity to learn instead of." "Enough," Kex roared. "Tomorrow we proceed as planned. We will show everyone the true nature of these beasts." He stormed out, leaving a heavy silence behind. But as the crew dispersed, something had fundamentally changed. They had seen something that challenged their entire understanding of strength and control. In their cells, Jack and Ghost remained calm, their bond unshaken. "They're starting to understand," Jack murmured to Ghost, who wagged his tail softly in response. "Question is, will they understand in time?" Trill, left alone in the observation room, made one final log entry. "Perhaps the true beast isn't the one in the cell, but the darkness of prejudice that blinds us to new possibilities." The combat arena aboard the Dawnbreaker gleamed under harsh lighting. The circular space was surrounded by transparent barriers, behind which crew members gathered to witness Commander Kex's demonstration. The atmosphere was tense, filled with murmured conversations and uncertain glances. "Bring in the specimens," Kex commanded from his elevated platform. His scales had taken on a darker hue, betraying his agitation. Two force field corridors materialized, guiding Jack and Ghost from their cells to opposite sides of the arena. As the corridors disappeared, leaving them free in the space, neither moved to attack. Instead, Ghost trotted over to Jack, tail wagging slightly. "This is not how beasts behave." Kex's voice boomed through the speakers. "Begin the aggression protocols." Harsh red lights flooded the arena. A deep, rumbling sound filled the air, frequencies designed to trigger aggressive responses in predator species. Ghost's ears flattened, but he pressed closer to Jack's leg. "It's okay, buddy," Jack said softly, placing his hand on Ghost's head. "We've got this." Kex slammed his fist on the control panel. "Provide the human with a weapon. Let's see how quickly he turns on the beast when given the chance." A small panel opened in the arena floor, a shock stick, a standard tool used for controlling large predators, rose from within. Jack looked at the weapon, then directly up at Kex. Without breaking eye contact, he kicked the shock stick away. The clatter of it sliding across the floor echoed through the suddenly silent arena. "No," Jack said firmly. "That's not how this works." Ghost sat down beside him, perfectly calm despite the continuing aggression protocols. The wolf's behavior was so far from what the aliens expected that several of them had begun recording the event on their datapads. "Impossible." Kex rage. "Release the combat drones." Several small, floating machines entered the arena, circling Jack and Ghost with threatening movements. Ghost's hackles raised, but he didn't attack. Instead, he and Jack moved together, back to back, watching the drones. When the first drone attacked, the true nature of their partnership became clear. Jack ducked as Ghost leaped over him, intercepting the drone. They moved as one unit, protecting each other, communicating through subtle gestures and sounds that the watching aliens found fascinating. "Look at their coordination," Trill commented, taking rapid notes. "The human isn't commanding the wolf. They're working together." The drones attacked again. Jack rolled under one, allowing Ghost to use his back as a launching pad to reach another. Their movements were fluid, practiced, the result of months spent navigating difficult terrain together during research expeditions. "Stop this," a voice cried out. It was one of the younger crew members. "Can't you see? This isn't a demonstration of weakness. It's something extraordinary." More voices joined in. The crew had seen enough. Over the past days, they'd watched Jack and Ghost, studied Earth's transmitted data, and what they were witnessing now defied everything they'd been taught about dominance and control. "Silence," Kex roared. "I will not be undermined by." "Commander," Officer Reed's voice cut through the chaos. "The Council is calling. They've received reports of our actions and demand an immediate explanation." The arena fell silent except for the hum of the disabled drones. In the center, Jack sat on the floor, Ghost laying calmly beside him. They had faced the challenge without violence, showing a different kind of strength. Trill stepped forward, addressing the gathered crew. We came to study what we thought was a weakness. Instead, we've discovered something our species has never achieved. True partnership between different species based on mutual trust and respect. Around the arena, crew members were sharing data, discussing observations, completely ignoring Kex's spluttering objections. The paradigm had shifted, and there was no going back. "What happens now?" Jack asked quietly, scratching behind Ghost's ears. Officer Reed approached the arena barrier. "Now we learn. If you're willing to teach us." Ghost's tail wagged as Jack smiled. They had done more than survive the combat trial. They had shattered preconceptions and opened minds to new possibilities. Commander Kex stood alone on his platform, watching as his crew gathered around the arena, eager to understand what they had witnessed. His demonstration had indeed proved something, just not what he had intended. 1 week after the failed combat demonstration, the Dawnbreaker's observation deck had been transformed. Gone were the weapon racks and combat drones, replaced by research stations and monitoring equipment. Jack and Ghost moved freely among the alien crew, no longer prisoners but honored guests. "Fascinating," Trill muttered, watching Ghost interact with a group of young researchers. The wolf was demonstrating his ability to understand complex gestures, while Jack explained the history of human-animal cooperation. "Our ancestors first bonded with wolves over 30,000 years ago," Jack explained to his attentive audience. "That partnership changed both species. They helped us hunt, we shared our food. They protected our camps, we provided them with shelter." Commander Kex stood at the back of the room, his once proud posture now subdued. The Council's reaction to his unauthorized actions had been severe, but instead of removing him from command, they'd given him a new mission. "Learn from the humans." "I still don't understand." Kex finally spoke, approaching Jack. "How can you trust a predator at your back?" Jack smiled as Ghost patted over, sensing he was being discussed. "The better question is, how can we not trust them? Look at what we've achieved together. Rescue operations, therapy work, scientific research, all because we learned to work with animals instead of trying to dominate them." Officer Reed, who had been coordinating with Earth's governments, entered the observation deck with news. "The Council has reviewed our findings. They're implementing immediate changes to our first contact protocols. No species will be judged by our old standards of dominance and control." The crew members gathered around as Reed continued. "Furthermore, they're establishing the Joint Research Initiative. Earth will share its knowledge of human-animal bonds, and we'll share our technological expertise." "And the combat trials?" one young researcher asked nervously. "Abolished," Reed announced, causing a wave of relief through the room. "The Council agrees that we need to reevaluate our entire understanding of strength and cooperation." Jack watched as Ghost approached Kex, who still tensed slightly at the wolf's presence. But instead of showing aggression, Ghost simply sat down and offered his paw, just as he'd done with Jack months ago in the Alaskan wilderness. "He's offering you friendship," Jack explained softly. "No demands, no conditions, just the possibility of trust." Kex stared at the extended paw, his 4 eyes blinking rapidly. Slowly, hesitantly, he reached out and touched it. Ghost's tail wagged, and several crew members recorded the historic moment. "Perhaps," Kex admitted, his voice rough with emotion, "I have been wrong about many things." Trill approached with his ever-present datapad. "We've already documented over 200 unique ways humans and animals communicate. The implications for interspecies understanding are revolutionary. And this is just the beginning," Jack added, watching as Ghost moved among the alien crew, breaking down barriers with each friendly interaction. "Imagine what we can learn from each other, now that we're working together instead of focusing on dominance." The observation deck's massive windows showed Earth spinning below, peaceful and blue. Humans and aliens stood together, watching their world and discussing the future. Ghost lay contentedly in the middle of it all, a living bridge between species. You know, Reed said thoughtfully, when we first detected Earth, we thought we'd found a primitive world because you shared your planet with other species. Now we understand. That's what made you advanced. Jack nodded, reaching down to ruffle Ghost's fur. The best partnerships aren't about control. They're about trust, respect, and being open to possibilities. As the Dawnbreaker prepared for its journey home, carrying new understanding and the seeds of cooperation, Commander Kex made his final log entry. We came seeking weakness and found strength. We came to teach dominance and learned about partnership. Most importantly, we came to study beasts and found friends instead. The humans have much to teach us, and it all began because one man and one wolf showed us a better way. Ghost howled softly, a sound that echoed through the ship's corridors. One by one, the alien crew members found themselves smiling, understanding at last that true strength lies not in controlling others, but in the bonds we choose to forge together.